Here are the most outrageous and exotic pets owned by celebrities. Number 9. Nicolas Cage, Mr. Exotic Pets. When you star in movies such as Face Off, National Treasure, Snake Eyes, Leaving Las Vegas, and Con Air, you're bound to amass quite a fortune. In fact, between 1996 and 2011, Nicolas Cage made around $150 million. In 2009 alone, Nicolas Cage made $40 million. With his fame and fortune came a lavish spending spree, which included 50 cars, a jet, some yachts, a castle in Bavaria, and 2 private islands. Needless to say, he blew through that $150 million pretty quick and reportedly owes the IRS something like $13 million. Let's just think about this for a minute. Just some quick math. If you spent $1 million a year for 100 years, you still can't blow through $150 million. Yeah, I know. I never failed math class in high school. Anyways, apparently when you have $150 million, it seems like you also need some really exotic animals. Among his financial blunders, exotic pets, were 2 king cobras named Shelby and Moby, which he spent $27,000 on. He bought the cobras because he claimed he needed them for safety. I don't know, man. Use your imagination here, because I really have nothing to say about this one. He also briefly had a pet, octopus, which he claimed helped him with his acting. Again, I'm baffled. I mean, there's some pretty insane write-offs for taxes out there, but a pet octopus to help with your acting has to take the cake. He even has been rumored to have a pet shark and a pet crocodile. And I'm not sure which one of any of these pets is the most batshit insane. He even spent $200,000 on an ancient dinosaur skull. Not sure if that counts as a pet, but it's Nicolas Cage we're talking about here. Number 8. Dan Bilzerian and ZEUS. This trust fund baby turned fake professional poker player has made no secret of his insane lifestyle. Known for public brawling with models, throwing porn stars off of roofs, partying in Hollywood, doing copious amounts of coke, and generally acting like the male Kim Kardashian, Dan Bilzerian has garnered a reputation that might even make Jay Gatsby wrinkle his nose. He even briefly ran for president, but couldn't generate enough support, so then he decided to endorse our president, Donald Trump. An endorsement I'm not sure if President Trump actually wants. Anyways, what am I talking about here? Oh yeah, his pet goat. In addition to his many hired hookers and models, Bilzerian has a pet goat named ZEUS. Bilzerian introduced the world to his goat on his infamous Instagram page with a picture and a caption that read, "Meet my surly pet goat ZEUS." Smaller breeds of castrated goats actually make okay pets. Goats are herd animals, which means that in order for them to be truly happy, they need a goat friend. In fact, they feel completely insecure as a singleton, so typically you don't get a goat, you get goats. Well, this goat seems to accompany Bilzerian on a lot of his escapades, as he's often seen being petted by bikini-clad young women and seemingly enjoying his extravagant lifestyle that any associate of Bilzerian might happily indulge in. I hope these ladies are the friends that ZEUS would want. Number 7. Leo DiCaprio and his exotic tortoise. Leo DiCaprio is easily one of the best all-around actors in Hollywood today. He is also, quite surprisingly, the owner of a pet tortoise. In 2010, the famous actor reportedly purchased an African spurred tortoise at the North American Reptile Breeders Conference and Trade Show in Anaheim, California. Because of their reputation for having a pleasant temperament, these tortoises are sometimes kept as pets, despite a few significant challenges. African spurred tortoises require large enclosures, temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and bedding composed of grasses or grass-based hay. Because of their high dietary fiber needs, grasses form a minimum of 75% of their food intake. To remain healthy, they require sufficient calcium for bone and shell development, low protein, and minimal fruit or sugary foods. Whereas wild tortoises obtain enough calcium from the soil, pets generally require calcium supplements. Also, get this. Young African spurred tortoises grow quickly and can double in size each year during the first 3 years. DiCaprio, the stars of such popular films such as Django Unchained, Titanic, and my favorite, Inception, reportedly only paid $400 for the tortoise, which was 7 years old at the time when he bought it. African spur tortoises are known to live for up to 200 years, so chances are Leo will be getting his money's worth on this purchase. It kind of makes sense that DiCaprio would be interested in such a pet given his broad environmental interests and activism. He's also known to have an interest in tigers, although he's yet to bring a big cat home, at least none that have been reported. Number 6. Elvis Presley's farm. I'll go ahead and skip the obvious hound dog joke here and go out on a limb and say that a wallaby is an unusual pet. But, then again, the king wasn't one to fit the mold. The gospel singer turned rock and roll icon turned out some of the 20th century's most memorable songs, such as Heartbreak Hotel and Love Me Tender. Pair that with his provocative lyrics, wide cultural appeal, his legendary dance moves, and his untimely death in 1977, you have a rock legend whose impact is still felt to this day. One thing not everyone knows about Elvis was that he had a lifelong fondness of animals. Dating back to his childhood days, he loved to keep pet dogs. As he got older, he began to amass a wider collection of more interesting pets. When he moved into his Graceland mansion, he not only had dogs, but he had donkeys, pigs, and even a small collection of monkeys and spider monkeys as well. He reportedly had a chimp named Scatter, whom he often carried around his home. In general, taking on a pet monkey isn't like caring for most other pets. A well-cared-for monkey can live to be anywhere from 20 to 40 years old and needs its owner's full commitment throughout their lives. A significant time commitment is also needed just for routine care and cleaning up after a pet monkey, but more importantly, a monkey needs a large amount of social interaction and attention from the owner. A pet monkey deprived of time and attention will only develop severe behavioral problems and psychological issues that can be difficult, if not impossible, to fix. In addition to his pets mentioned above, in 1957, Elvis was given a baby wallaby as a gift from some of his Australian admirers. Pet wallabies actually make great pets, surprisingly. A recent study done by Dutch scientists analyzed 90 mammal species for pet suitability, and the wallaby was number 2 on that list. The study was done in response to a Dutch national animal welfare policy that took effect in 2013 to address a growing trend in the Netherlands of owning exotic pets. However, Elvis actually gave away his wallaby, but the animal that resembles a mini kangaroo still must have had and made an impression on him. In 1962, he again gave a wallaby as a gift to a friend. Oddly enough, he never did own a hound dog. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Number 5. Vanilla Ice, Wallaroo. He's best remembered for his 1990 hit Ice Ice Baby. However, how many of you remember that his actual name is Robert Van Winkle? Or that he was known for some of his quirky pets such as a Wallaroo? A Wallaroo is any of 3 closely related species of moderately large macropods and is in between the size between a kangaroo and a wallaby. In general, a large, slim-bodied macropod of the open plains is called a kangaroo. A small to medium-sized one, particularly if it's relatively thick-set, is a wallaby. Most wallaroos are only a little smaller than a kangaroo, fairly thick-set, and are found in the open country. In 2004, Vanilla Ice made the news when he reportedly called up animal control in St. Port Lucia, Florida, claiming that Bucky, his pet wallaroo, and also his pet goat, had escaped from his backyard, and if they found them, basically, he'd like them back. While Vanilla Ice was able to retrieve Bucky, I can neither confirm nor deny that there wasn't collusion on the part of Bucky the Wallaroo and his goat's sidekick to escape from Vanilla Ice. Maybe they just didn't like confinement, or maybe they were just pissed that he ripped off queens under pressure. Either way, it's a odd little story. Number 4. Michael Jackson, Chimpanzee. Michael Jackson's illustrious career has been understandably overshadowed by his bizarre personal life. While his chart-topping music and perverse Neverland escapades are well known, many people might not remember or even be aware of his longtime chimp, Bubbles. The King of Pop bought Bubbles from a Texas research facility in 1983 and often took him around when he traveled. This led people to conclude that Jackson was kind of weird. Of course, they had no idea just how weird he would actually get, but come on, let's be real. He made Thriller. Anyways, Bubbles supposedly enjoyed the life of a rich kid. He had a crib in Jackson's bedroom, watched movies in the Neverland Ranch Theater, sat at the dinner table, wore diapers, and used Jackson's personal toilet. Jackson supposedly had other chimps too, and Jackson claimed these guys helped him with chores around the house. Although, the maid said she often had to clean their poop off of walls, which is something I'm actually more likely to believe. Just like Elvis's monkeys, chimps are animals that are often in need of full-time care. In 2003, Bubbles was relocated to an animal sanctuary after people feared the chimp might harm Michael's young son. Jackson bought 2 more monkeys, Max and Action Jackson, though he didn't seem to have the same connection he once had with Bubbles. These days, Bubbles lives at the Center for Great Apes in Florida, where he's reportedly visited by members of the Jackson family on occasion. Number 3, Money Mayweather, pet tiger. Come on, guys. Of course, Floyd Mayweather got a rare baby tiger he received from Russian friends as a Christmas present. How would Floyd not have Russian friends that would give him an exotic pet? Obviously, this gift from his friends in 2015 upset quite a few people. PETA's senior vice president, Lisa Lang, said in a statement, quote, "Floyd Mayweather can have anything he wants, and what he should want is an end to the wild animal trade, not to be a facilitator of it." A video of him and his pet tiger was posted on Instagram, which also showed another tiger in the background. It sparked outrage, which has been brewing since December of 2015 when Mayweather boasted about his one-of-a-kind Christmas present. Of course, most people think that when it comes to wild, exotic animals such as a tiger, they think that it goes without saying that if it's not prowling the wild in Asia, it's probably better off in a nature reserve. However, for the case of tigers, environmental conditions are so unfavorable in the wild that many conservation experts have come to believe that the only way to ensure the species' long-term survival is to maintain and breed a stable population of captive tigers with the hope of eventually releasing them back into the wild when conditions become more favorable. However, surprise, surprise, certain captive tiger breeders are motivated by profit rather than a sincere desire to help ensure the continuation of the species. Sadly, there are now more tigers in American backyards than there are in the wild. The World Wildlife Fund estimates that there are 5,000 captive tigers in the U.S., significantly exceeding the remaining 3,200 wild tigers in the world as a whole. The demand for exotic tigers from roadside zoos and circuses has led the proliferation of illegal breeding operations, with plenty of examples that are seriously detrimental to the health and well-being of the tigers. But then again, this is Money Mayweather we're talking about here, so doing things properly, such as hiring a few professional tiger handlers and having plenty of space for the tiger to roam around, would be something Mayweather can easily afford. And it certainly doesn't seem that he's the type to skimp on anything. Photos of Mayweather parading the tiger around on a leash have drawn the criticism and bewilderment of many people on Twitter and Instagram. And there are still petitions for Mayweather to give away his tigers. To be honest, these are probably the same people who buy iPhones and buy cheap, fast fashion, both of which exploit cheap human labor. The same people that only worry about what other people do, but never about their own actions. But hey, that's none of my business. Number 2, Mike Tyson, Bengal. Money Mayweather wasn't the first champion boxer to own a tiger. Mike Tyson's tiger wasn't just a fake storyline for The Hangover. For real, many people forget Mike Tyson actually owned a pet tiger. 3 tigers, actually. When Iron Mike wore the crown of heavyweight champion and was probably the most feared boxer of all time, he used to make an ungodly amount of money. And he bought lavish and oftentimes ridiculous things, such as 100 different cars, and in this case, 3 Bengal tigers. Legendary boxing photographer Chris Farina recalled a terrifying experience when he photographed Tyson at his home in Las Vegas in 1995. Speaking to Vice's Fightland, Farina said, quote, "He starts walking with this tiger up the hill, and I'm shooting all these pictures. The tiger is dragging Mike. He doesn't have the tiger is dragging him." Farina also remembered Tyson laughing like a maniac when he pulled one of the tigers out of the cage, exclaiming, "He's a man-eating beast! Ah ha 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 ha! I wish I would have been there to hear Mike Tyson say this in person." But unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. Divorce settlements, legal fees, and not being able to box anymore took a giant financial toll on Tyson. He blew through his fortune in a few short years like a lottery winner on a coke binge, and had to file for bankruptcy in 2003. Because of the enormous expense of properly keeping tigers, he had to give up his beloved big cats. Iron Mike has been rather vocal about his desire to own tigers again. Even with all his mistakes, crazy statements, and hardships in life, you can't deny that Iron Mike is one of the realest dudes out there who does speak from the heart. Number 1, Salvador Dali and his anteater. Who has an anteater as a pet? This guy. Salvador Dali was arguably one of the most talented and influential surrealist painters of the 20th century. A quick look at some of his iconic work would likely lead you to conclude that Dali was most likely on drugs. Okay, just kidding, who knows? Dali was known for keeping odd pets, such as an ocelot named Babu, which is essentially a miniature leopard, hence their nickname, the dwarf leopard. But really, ocelots aren't really that exotic. What was pretty exotic was his pet anteater, which was sometimes featured in his work. Anteater is a common name for the 4 extant mammal species of the suborder Vermilingua, which basically means worm tongue. It's commonly known for eating, you guessed it, ants, but also termites. Together with the sloths, they are within the order of Pelosa. In 1969, Dali was photographed strolling the streets of Paris with his anteater. A year later, he appeared on the Dick Cavett show with a baby anteater. Dali's surrealist work was often symbolic, expressing themes such as hope, fear, optimism, death, life, and so on and so on. Was his proclivity for his pets an extension of his symbolism, or maybe he just liked animals? Here's what's next.
US. Hassanai Bolkiah has an estimated $20 billion net worth according to Forbes. This is a dude who doesn't have to think twice before getting a haircut costing around $21,000. What kind of private jet do you think he has? The Sultan of Brunei paid at least $100